Hello and welcome to a double stitch creations tutorial. Today we're going to be working on Boo the Ghost. So here's my latest addition to my pencil topper collection, which is forever growing. But I thought he'd be perfect given that we're now in September to start making some little Halloween things. And I thought this little guy would be perfect to add to the collection. Alright, and he's a great project for at night or on the weekend because he comes up really quick. Alright, let's get started. So you'll need some white and black yarn, some hobby fill. Now the yarn I'm using is 8 ply, it's 100% wool. I'd say it's about a DK weight. But you can also use cotton. These projects are really good for using up your ends of yarn, so it doesn't really matter what yarn you have, but I just recommend that you use the same brand or the same type. So hobby fill, not essential but can be handy as a stitch marker. Now if you're just a beginner, I recommend you use a 3.5mm hook, which is what I'm going to use today. Otherwise, if you've been crocheting for a while, definitely go smaller to make your stitches tighter. And you'll also need a tapestry needle, and I like to use these metal ones because they're nice and sharp, but plastic ones work just as well. I will put a link in the description below to the types of wool and hooks and tapestry needle and hobby fill that I'm using. Also, I will put a link in the description to my written pattern, which can be purchased from my shop. Alright, let's get started. Okay, we're going to start with the white, and we're starting from, it's all his body and his head is all one piece, so we're starting from his body. And I usually make a slip knot, so I always leave a bit of a tail for weaving in. Then I wrap it around my finger twice, I grab the back loop and I pull it over the front loop. Then I once more grab the end of my yarn and I wrap it in front of the loop that is still on my finger, and then I grab the back loop again and pull it over the front loop. And now you've got this slip knot, or this loop that you can put on your hook. You can loosen and tighten as needed. Okay, the way everyone will find their own way of holding the yarn, but this is how I hold it, is I just hook my pinky under the yarn. Here I turn my hand and my pointer goes under here. Then my index finger and my thumb come and lightly hold my work close to the hook. The closer you hold it to the hook, the easier it is to work. And then this is your working yarn, so this is where we're going to do all our stitching. It's not tight, but the pointer is keeping the tension and keeping it straight to make it easier to work. So from here we're going to chain 2, so yarn over. So it's called yarn over, but you're putting your hook under the yarn, then hooking it and pulling it back through the loop that is on your hook. So that's 1, we want 2. So yarn over again, hooking it and pulling it back through the loop on your hook. That's 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to put 4 single crochets into the second chain from the hook. So here's our hook, and this is our first chain. You can't crochet into that because it'll just undo. So we're going into the second, and sometimes it makes it easy if you just follow that tail and pull that bottom loop out of the second chain from the hook. And that's where you're going to put all 4 stitches into this loop, and we can tighten it later on. So that's just so you can see where to put your stitching. So turn, put your hook into that chain stitch that we made a bit bigger, yarn over, pulling it back through the chain stitch, so you've got 2 loops on your hook, and yarn over and pull through both loops. So that's a single crochet. That's one, nearly knocked my coffee over. I should have said coffee is essential too for working in this project, or tea. Okay, now we're doing another one into the same spot, so into that same space that we made. Then yarn over, pulling it back through that chain stitch, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both. So that's in the second single crochet. We're going to do 2 more in this. and then you can pull it tight. Okay, round 2. We're going to put a hook into the very first stitch of the round. So you'll notice that each stitch has what's called the front loop and the back loop. So that we're going to put our hook under both those loops. So you're looking for the front loop and the back loop to make your first stitch. So that's my first stitch just there. You're going to put your hook under that. So you're going into the first stitch. Then yarn over, we're doing 2 single crochets into this stitch because we're increasing, so that's 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through both loops, so going into the same stitch, yarning over, pulling it back through that stitch, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both. So we're doing all single crochets. In the next stitch is just 1 single crochet, and then the next stitch around is putting 2 single crochets into the same stitch. So doing another one into the same stitch, and then 1 single crochet, and you should have 6 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. Round 3 is we're also increasing, so we're just increasing slowly. So we're doing 2 single crochets into this round. So 1 single crochet, then 2 single crochets into this stitch. Sorry, did I say round? So 2 single crochets into that stitch. Now if you want, now that we're getting a little bit bigger, you can put your stitch marker in the first stitch of the round so that you know which round you're the beginning stitch of your round, because we're just continually crocheting around and around, so it's not always easy to work out what your first stitch was. So the stitch marker comes in quite handy. So that's the first stitch of the round where you put your stitch marker. So we've done 2. Now we're going to do 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and then 1 single crochet into the next stitch. Now 2 single crochets, into the same stitch, so it's 2 single crochets into the same stitch, and then we're going to do 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and then 1 single crochet into the last stitch, and you should find you're back at your stitch marker, and you should have 8 stitches. So if we remove that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's a good idea to count your rounds as you go, because it's so annoying to get further up your project and realize with these little guys it doesn't matter, but on a bigger project like a scarf, I done do a scarf because I got my stitching wrong. It's very frustrating. If only I counted it earlier. Alright, moving on to round 4, and we are still increasing. So we're going to do 2 single crochets into this first stitch of the round. So 1, 2, and we can put our stitch marker back in, just saves us from not counting, or saves us from counting, I should say. Now 1 single crochet into the next stitch, 1 single crochet into the next, and then 1 single crochet into the next stitch. Now we're going to do 2 single crochets into this stitch, so making sure you're putting 2 single crochets into the same stitch, and then 1 single crochet into the, and then 1 single crochet, and then 1 single crochet. So you should find that you now have 10 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. All right, moving on to our 5th round. All right, before we go any further, we're going to sew in this tail again. So turn your work inside out, pull the tail nice and tight, get your tapestry needle. We're just going to weave in this end so that the bottom won't come undone. So you just weave it in and out of the stitching. I just go in and out, back and forth, and you just do that a few times until you feel like it's nice and secure. So it's really no right or wrong to this, just you just want to make the bottom not come undone. And now once you're happy with that, you can leave a little bit of a tail on the inside. You're not going to see it. It just becomes part of the filling. Okay, now turn it back the right way. And now we're up to round 5. I'm just going to have a sip of coffee. Okay, round 5. Is we are still increasing. This time we're going to do 2 single crochets into the first stitch of the round. So, and we're still doing all single crochets. So, and now you can put your stitch marker in. And now the next one is going to be 1 single crochet, then 2 single crochets into the next stitch. So make sure you're putting 2 single crochets into the same stitch here, then 1 single crochet. So we're doing that all the way around. We're doing 2 single crochets, then 1, 2 single crochets, then 1 until we get to 15 stitches. So now we're up to 2 single crochets. Whoops, stay over there, boo. Then 1 single crochet, then 2, and then 1 single crochet, now 2, and 1 in the last stitch. And you should find that you have 15 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so rounds 6 to 8, which is 3 rounds in total. We're just going to do 1 single crochet into every stitch around. So 1 single crochet into all the 15 stitches, and you're going to do that 3 times. So for 3 rounds. So we'll do this one, and then I'll leave you to do the next 2. I'm just doing 1 single crochet all the way around. And then once you've done that round, you need to do another 2 just like this one. So doing another 2 rounds, and then I will get back to you to do round 9. So do another 2 rounds. We're putting 1 single crochet into every stitch, and I'll get back to you to start round 9. Okay, round 9. We're now going to decrease. So what we're doing is we're going to decreasing literally means joining 2 stitches together. So it just kind of makes it a bit smaller to make the neck, the shape of the neck. So we're going to join, you put your stitch into the first stitch of the round, you hook into the first stitch of the round, yarn over, pull up a loop. So you now have 2 loops on your hook, and then I'm going to go straight into the next stitch beside it, yarn over, pull up a loop. So now you've got 3 loops on your hook, then yarn over, pull through all 3, and you can put your stitch marker into this. So we'll just join those 2 stitches together. Now the next one is just going to be a normal single crochet. And then we're going to do a decrease again, so going into the next stitch, yarning over, pulling up a loop, then going into the next stitch right beside it, yarning over, pulling up another loop, so 3 loops in your hook, then yarn over and pull through all 3. So joining those 2 stitches together. And this one's going to be a normal single crochet. And now we're going to do another decrease. So into the stitch, yarning over, pulling up a loop, into the very next stitch beside it, yarning over, pulling up another loop, so 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3, and then a single crochet. So just continuing with this pattern all the way around. So decrease, and now a single crochet, then a decrease, and then the last one is a single crochet, and you should find that you have 10 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. So round 10 is just 1 single crochet into every stitch around for the 10 stitches. So, oops, I put that in the wrong one. So 1, put your stitch marker into the very first stitch. Or you can just count 10 if you like. I usually get distracted and forget. So the stitch marker is very handy. 1. So we'll just single crochet into every stitch around. Back to our stitch marker. And this completes our body. That completes tutorial part 1 of Boo the Ghost pencil topper. So I will see you in the next tutorial where we will work on his head and his eyes. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.